Two sister resorts side by side, but which one is the better pick for your Disney World trip? In this video, we are pitting Port Orleans Riverside and Port Orleans French Quarter head to head in all different ways: rooms, dining, transportation, and I'm going to help you figure out which one makes the most sense for you. Hi, I'm Shannon from WDW and today I'm here to talk about the two Port Orleans resorts. One is Riverside, one is French Quarter. They were originally part of one large resort, but now they're totally separate ones that are located right next to each other. You can easily walk between them along the water or take a bus to get between. If you are considering one of these resorts, I'm going to assume that you are shopping in the moderate category. Moderate resorts are moderately priced, relatively speaking, and they have some things in common, including beautiful landscaping and great theming. But there are some differences, and one of these might work better than the other. Let's talk first about the theming of them and the size, starting with French Quarter. So, as the name may tell you, it is New Orleans and French Quarter theming. It is also the smallest of all the Disney World resorts, not just the moderate resorts, but all the resorts. And everything is relatively compact, so you can really get to everything quite easily. Over at Riverside, you have a much greater scale with a sprawling layout. And the theming over there is two different kinds of styles of Louisiana theming. One section is bayou themed, and the other is mansion themed. These fall into the Alligator Bayou sections and the Magnolia Bend sections. Let's talk next about the buildings and the rooms. At French Quarter, it is divided into the north and south quarters, and then within those, there are building numbers. The rooms themselves have two queen beds or one king, and they max out at 4 people. This is the only moderate resort that does that. All the other moderate resorts allow you to have up to 5 in the rooms. The rooms were updated in 2024 during a refurbishment, and it was very subtle and very tasteful. We love how the new rooms look. Over at Riverside, there are two major sections: Alligator Bayou and Magnolia Bend. In Alligator Bayou, you're going to find buildings that are mostly 2 stories, and they do not have elevators, but many of the rooms are 5 sleeper rooms with a pull down bed, which means they allow up to 5 people and have a total of 3 beds. Over in Magnolia Bend, you're going to find buildings that are 3 stories tall, and they do have elevators. Some of these rooms are royal guest rooms, which are princess themed and are in the process of being refurbished right now. The room capacity in the Magnolia Bend section is up to 4 people, but the 5th sleeper and the capacity of 5 is in the Alligator Bayou rooms at Riverside. So Riverside is going to give you more variety in room types and capacity, but you're going to have more walking and internal complexity if you're there. And at French Quarter, you're going to have the max of 4 people per room, but with a compact resort. Let's talk about the transportation options at these resorts. At French Quarter, you're going to have just one bus stop for the resort, no internal bus stops at all, and you will use the buses to get to all of the parks. There is a boat option to go to Disney Springs from French Quarter, and it is shared with Riverside. It is easy from French Quarter to walk to Riverside, or you can take a bus that will connect the 2 resorts. At Riverside, the transportation situation has some similarities, but with one big difference. The big difference is that there are multiple internal bus stops in the north, east, southwest depots. This means that your rides to and from the parks are going to include internal bus stops, which can make it take longer to come and go. Because of the multiple internal bus stops, you're rarely far from a bus stop. So, whatever section you're in, you will have a bus stop that is in your area. However, you just have to anticipate other people already on the bus when you board, and that may take a while to get off depending on which stop you're at. Just like French Quarter, Riverside does have a boat to Disney Springs, and that can be a nice option for both of these resorts. So basically, at French Quarter, you've got simpler, easier transport, and at Riverside, possibly longer rides and more walking, but you'll have bus stops in whatever section you stay at. Let's talk next about the dining and food options at each of these resorts, starting with French Quarter, which has a food court called Sasagula Floatworks and Food Factory, and it's very well themed and has some great food choices there. But Most importantly, French Quarter has the Scat Cats Club Cafe, which is the only place you can get Mickey beignets. It's a major perk of staying here. And even if you're not staying here, you might want to visit just to have the Mickey beignets. Right next to the cafe is the Scat Cats Club Lounge, which has live entertainment, and you can get beignets there as well. There is also a pool bar, the Mardi Gras Pool Bar, where you can get some drinks. However, there is no table service restaurant on site at French Quarter, making it the only moderate resort to not have a table service option. Let's go over to Riverside, which also does have a food court. It is called Riverside Mill Food Court. They also have a lounge with live music. It is the River Roost Lounge. And they have a pool bar that serves not only drinks, but some light food options. It is called the Muddy Rivers Pool Bar. However, unlike French Quarter, Riverside has a table service restaurant called Boat Rights Dining Hall. It has Southern style food, and it's the only one between the two of these with a table service restaurant. So, in terms of dining, French Quarter will win because it has the Mickey beignets, but Riverside wins on having a full sit down option on site. Next, let's talk about the pools and recreation amenities between the resorts. Starting with French Quarter, they have one main pool called the Doubloon Lagoon, and it has a serpent slide and a jazz-themed alligator statue nearby. They also have a newly done children's splash and play area that is fenced in, and this particular area is a favorite among parents. Over at Riverside, you're going to have more options because it's a bigger resort. That includes Old Man Island, which is a 3.5 acre space with water slide, it has sawmill theming, a hot tub. Outside of this main pool area, there are also multiple additional quiet pools, basically one in each section, so that you can easily get to a pool no matter where you are staying. Riverside does have hot tub and kiddie pool and lounge areas available as well. But also, in terms of recreation, Riverside has a lot of choices: horse-drawn carriage rides, Surrey bike rentals, fishing, etc. So lots of recreation here that you're not going to find at French Quarter. So basically, Riverside offers more variety and recreation. French Quarter is going to win for their splash pad play area. Next up, let's talk about the vibes of the resorts because they have different feels to them. So, French Quarter has a real like romantic, quaint New Orleans street charm, very compact. There's a greeter at the entrance, there's elegant touches throughout, and it's just quieter overall. At Riverside, you're going to get a more immersive bayou and southern mansion mix. And because of the size of it, you're going to have a lot more sort of scenic grounds with bridges and paths to meander. Many times I have just gone to the resort to walk around and take pictures of all the water, the trees, the bridges. It's really beautiful to walk around. Riverside has two distinct feels because the Alligator Bayou section is more rustic versus the Magnolia Bend area, which feels a lot more formal. The resort overall does have more walking, more exploration, and more sense of being inside of a resort environment because of its size. So, to recap, French Quarter has the quiet charm, and Riverside has more of an immersive, expansive experience. But with that comes the trade offs that you get from having to walk the grounds. So, let's talk about the pros and cons of the two resorts. French Quarter on the pro side, it is compact and has a lot of things that come with it, including the fact that it's easy to navigate. It is the only resort with Mickey beignets at Disney World. It has a romantic, quiet theming and simpler bus logistics. The cons at French Quarter include the fact that it has no table service restaurant and the rooms max out at 4 people. So if you're a family of 5, it's not going to work. It also has fewer recreation options. There are downsides to being small, and one of those is fewer recreation options. Let's talk about the pros and cons of Riverside. There is more room choices over there. There are some that sleep 5. There are royal rooms. They also do have a table service restaurant at Riverside. The grounds are really lush. There's more recreation options. But on the con side, there is going to be more walking required, and the bus rides may be longer due to all the internal bus stops. So, to help you decide who should stay where, my suggestion is that French Quarter is really ideal for couples or small families of 4 or less who really value the charm and the ease and the quiet. It's also great for guests who dislike long walks or complex layouts of resorts, and for visitors who might prioritize the beignet perk, although you don't have to stay there to go and enjoy the beignets. French Quarter is also great for travelers who don't mind not having a table service restaurant on site. And on the Riverside side, is that repetitive? For Riverside, it is ideal for families who need flexible room options, including that fifth sleeper room, or princess lovers who might appreciate the princess themed royal rooms. Also, guests who just love exploring the resort grounds and the trails and having more amenities. People who appreciate an on site sit down dining option without having to leave the resort, and visitors who are okay with more walking and internal bus stops, maybe even those who have their own cars to avoid it. My verdict would be, if I were going as a family with kids, I would lean towards Riverside because of the room options and the recreation choices. But if it's a romantic stay, or I want minimal hassle, or I really want a good splash pad, I would choose French Quarter for the win. Before you wrap up, a few tips and tricks to share about these resorts. One is that you can share pools. So most Disney resorts do not allow sharing of their pools, but the guests of either of these resorts can use the pool at the other one because they are sister resorts. Tip number two is that there is a walking path. So to get between them, it's a really beautiful walk along the water that connects the resorts. And we just enjoy doing it for the scenery, but also you can get between them for different amenities. Room requests are going to matter more at Riverside because of the distance and the internal stop. So make sure you submit the room request for things like, being near transportation, or if you want to make sure that you don't have to worry about stairs, maybe request the ground floor. At French Quarter, corner rooms can give you extra light because it has two windows on the corner. So if you want that, be sure to request that with your room at French Quarter. Some mobile ordering tips. Sometimes the best dining choices at both resorts are not available for mobile order. You may have to order those in person. Last tip is that at Riverside, you can use quieter pools or the leisure pool options if the main pool is crowded, or if you don't want to walk over there, because the quieter pools, the leisure pools, tend to be closer to your section that you're in. So to recap, French Quarter has the charm and it's compact. It has beignets. Riverside is much larger scale, more variety and amenities. There is absolutely no one that is better overall. It just totally depends on your priorities. Let me know in the comments which resort appeals to you. Have you stayed at them, and have other things that you would like to share? I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Thanks for joining.